Blaine is probably one of the most professional students that I have had the opportunity to work with at K-State. He's held many different roles and responsibilities in our office. So he started as a campus tour guide and giving tours to prospective students. That following summer, he served as a Wildcat warm-up counselor and then continued to work in our office as a campus tour guide and then was promoted to a student scheduler. Blaine then transitioned also to serving as a Wildcat warm-up director. Everything he does is 110%. We've given him, multiple campus tours with very important people visiting campus because we knew that he is reliable and he is dependable. The selective scholarships that we coordinate take place pretty much like right after school starts. Blaine has always been very involved with those days, scheduling appointments for them, making sure that their schedule is going to work out. And so that is something that has really made a huge difference. That is his main focus, is on the students and other students and to make sure that they have an amazing experience. And so Blaine has brought a lot of great ideas and a lot of processes, and that's one thing I really appreciate about him. Even though he's a student, he's not afraid to say, hey, I think this could work better. Blaine really sees the big picture, and he really takes that to heart. Blaine has been an essential component and an essential part of our office, both in his leadership, just his ability to be a role model, to be a mentor. He understands the importance of who he represents, and so not only representing new student services, but K-State as a whole.
Julia is essentially my right-hand person. She's our assistant editor, and she helps to edit the documentaries and helps to prep a lot of the footage we do for each individual spot. She started off as a worker, saying she'll organize some footage here and there, but she's become a very integral part of our team. Recently, we've been working on a new documentary that's very, very intense. And Julia has been asked to take on the role of editing and building chapters for that documentary. And as it turns out, we were finishing up another program, so she spent the better half of 6 months editing the first rough cut of what will eventually be a PBS program. For a student to take on that kind of role, she's done a phenomenal job. When it comes to finding out information, she's always the first one to say, I'll go talk to that professor, I'll go talk to the dean. It's kind of uncommon, I think, for most students to just say, I'm going to go approach that stranger. We were finishing up some marketing plans for A Walk in My Shoes, which deals with first-generation students. And we needed somehow some magic way to reach out to the White House to respond back to a post that had been made by the First Lady. She was willing to call the 800 number and figure out the system on how to get a hold of the First Lady's secretary, and we were able to do that. Julie's definitely been able to not only live up to the role of an assistant editor, but also as someone who can be very reliable to calm people down. It's one thing to have someone sit down for an interview like this, and they're very nervous. You need someone who can kind of talk to them and kind of get them past the lights, past the microphone, and get them to just be kind of an open human being. And Julie can always be very reliable at doing that, being a very people person.
April's one of those students that comes in and she's there every day. She comes in and does her work, and she will stay after if someone needs help. And she's so good and so detailed that we will have her do a lot of the training, and even at a supervisory level. So when we have new students come in, obviously we want to have them sit with April. When we have someone who is a new hire someplace else in the library, we'll let them sit with April. Our student specialists are trained to do everything. So as a specialist, she has to know the reserves. She also knows where things are in the general collection, in the stacks, and that only includes the library, but also when she needs to send people to the other branches that we have. She would also be responsible for, getting the books out of the book drop, getting those books checked back in so they can go back into the system on the shelves. And then she also is reference. That's also part of their job. And reference questions can vary from, there's a problem with the printer, we're out of paper, how to use the scanner, to I have to do a report and I need some help finding information about this. And what she'll typically do is get them started. We had a patron who came to the desk in obvious distress, having some sort of seizure. April brought that person back into the staff area. She just took charge, and she's the one who knew what to do and calmly talked to them, and so that she could get the information she needed to contact people. I think the thing that separates April is that she does always go above and beyond. She's just very patient and so friendly and so thorough the initiative, wanting to make sure things are the best they can be while she's there, is what it is with April.
Kyle's position is the assistant manager, and he is in charge of the daily care and maintenance of all of the horses, as well as riding colts, starting colts, and overall facility maintenance. He will always show up for work on time, even before work, and he will come on the weekends and do the extra work that I've never even asked him to do. Kyle puts in twice as much work as every other student, and he goes above and beyond what is expected of him. There was a period of about 10 months where the horse unit did not have a full-time manager. Kyle, as an undergraduate student worker, willingly stepped up and took on the position as the manager at the horse unit with only the title of an assistant manager. He assisted the oldest graduate student in the breeding season, so he handled all the stallions and the mares and handled clients as well during the breeding season and the foaling season. And he also managed all of the other student workers when they were just the same age as him. Kyle is very professional with all of the clients. I'm impressed whenever he gets a phone call and how he handles himself. He is very polite and very professional in all of his mannerisms. Kyle's initiative definitely sets him apart from everyone else. He comes into the office and will immediately go back out and start a project without me asking him to do anything. And he'll come in and tell me his ideas or his plans for that day, rather than waiting for me to give him instructions. He comes in, knows what needs to be done, and he goes and gets it done.
The Pilots program is a first-year academic success program, so it's primarily targeted to freshman students, and we have about 25 to 30 tutors at any given time. Sarah acts as one of our amazing tutors. They're called peer assistants. She helps students not only with academic material, but also helps lead students to becoming independent learners. So she helps with time management, organization, and study skills. She often covers for her fellow coworkers. She comes in whenever she's needed. She volunteers her time on top of her work hours, and she's absolutely reliable in communications as well. She works with students, special education students in communication sciences and disorders, and she has worked with students with special needs, so she especially enjoys working with the student population, and she really wants to give back. So she has volunteered some additional time to work with this student who has an auditory learning disability. She is always reliable and mature. She's always staying right on task and helping students to the best of her ability. Sarah has always done exceptional work. She's not only a great teacher and tutor, but she helps students stay motivated. Again, in her professionalism, her maturity, her desire to help others above everything else really has set her apart in my eyes.